Game Time Brian. Hey Mark, is that the guy coming on? Hey Mark, you can bring DFW and the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it won't matter. You haven't done dick in 30 years. The Pet Rock and the Chia Pet were more famous than Dallas in the last 25 years. Who are you kidding? The Chia Pet is more famous than the Cowboys in the last 30 years. The Chia Pet.
Well, good morning, everybody. Game Time Brian, otherwise known as Game Time Brian, for 2 more weeks. Yes, not 1, but 2 more weeks. Game Time Brian here. Loving doing my morning video. We'll definitely do a lunchtime chat later today. Between now and then, I got a lot of work to do outside in my shed, unloading, putting some of the in-law stuff in the shed, trying to find room for some of the stuff. One of the projects I'd have to do while off for 3 weeks as we get ready for the NFL season. Thank you for all the nice comments that I just went through. I appreciate it. I hope I got back to everybody. Again, if you go on I have to make it clear, but it's the link on my YouTube page. It does say join at the very end, but I kind of have to figure out how it says, Mailheads crew. Anybody wants to be a part of the Mailheads crew, the link is if you don't see a join, if you see a join button, great. Then, just click it. But above that, right where it says, longtime Cowboy fan living in enemy territory, right below that, that's a link. That's the Mailheads crew link for $4.99 a month. Just ask any of the Mailheads or pay attention. We do a lot of channel member Zoom calls. Some get more spicier than others. We got a few Eagle fans that subscribe, and I appreciate them. That's part of why my channel's growing, is to shout out to some of the local Eagle fans who know I keep it real. I will keep it real. I'm not going to tell you, it's pouring outside and tell you that it's all sunshine and rainbows. We're going to keep it real, Cowboys included. As you know, I'm not a big preseason guy. Definitely don't care about winning the game, but we saw some positive things, and we have addressed that in the previous videos. But, just watching, some of Broadus and Bobby Belt going back and forth, talking about Trey Lance, anybody with a brain could see that he had a better game. I disagree with Bobby. Now, Bobby is a bottom-of-the-line type of guy where he's going to say, yeah, but he's still not an NFL quarterback. I don't think that's fair, because you could really Just look at Cooper Beebe. Just look at the strides that Cooper Beebe has made just in training camp. Whereas the first time he hiked the ball, everybody knows how good he is in interior blocking, Cooper Beebe. But to do it while snapping a football, which he hadn't done since high school for the most part. He may have messed around in his backyard, but it's different when you got a big boy lined up across from you. You got to hike the ball. You got to call out to protection. His strides, his learning curve has been remarkably fast and steep, and he's covering a lot of ground in a short period of time. I don't know if that means he's going to be the starter at center, but when you watch him get blowing people off of the ball from the center spot, man, it's no surprise you saw Deuce Vaughn. It's no surprise you saw Deuce Vaughn, burst through that hole. So he's used to running behind him at K-State. So kind of excited about that. I really am. But I want to, since we're talking about Trey Lance, I don't know where he fits, people. I'm not really sure where he fits. I'm going to keep it real. I don't know. I don't know where he fits. But we're going to play a video of Trey Lance. I don't know. Cooper Rush is the backup in my mind. But with this new rule, they're going to, they're going to go to 3 quarterbacks are making this roster, especially when the emergency quarterback does not have to count on the 48. So they're keeping 3. They are. They just are, people. So get ready for it. But yeah, let's listen to Trey, see what he has to say, because, some people just hate Trey to the point where there's nothing he could do. Listen, we get it. It's one of those deals where don't tell me how good a guy looks in preseason if it's only against the third teamers and the fourth teamers. Or, don't tell me. But then at the same point, don't tell me that he didn't impress you going against them. It's a fine line. You got to be able to be smart enough to realize what's going on. So let's see. Trey Lance.
Phil, your thoughts on the second game, comfortable offense and everything?
Yeah, definitely felt more comfortable coming out. Would have liked to start a little bit faster in the third quarter for sure. The whole entire third quarter. Left some plays out there for sure, but excited to watch the tape. Learned a lot again from it, and it was fun to compete with these guys again.
Looks like you
First touchdown pass, is that more about your footwork, giving it the ball, and also the route?
Yeah, Ryan killed him, so, man, it was like a long handoff. It was a great route by Ryan. Was super excited for him to get his first one.
Looks like you were processing a bit more quickly this week over last week. Did that feel that way to you as far as settling in more with the more live reps that you're getting?
Not necessarily. I think I left some out there for sure, specifically the third quarter. And that's some ones that are fresh in my mind right now. But, yeah, I felt good going into it, and guys made a ton of plays today.
You bring up the third quarter, but those last 2 drives in the second, the touchdown drive, and then the big scramble to set up the field goal, that was against 6 of their defensive starters. Did that help build the momentum going into halftime for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime you got a guy like Butter that can get to the
Butter.
50, and we got a good shot, I think it was good for more. But yeah, anytime you got a situation where you got a kicker like that, just giving him an opportunity at the end of the half to
Aubrey
give him a shot, and obviously him nailing
Top
that was
5.
huge for us.
Top
Going in.
3.
I asked Mike about you finding your groove, but at the same time, as you were finding your groove, the 10 other guys around you, could you feel them settling into what you were doing?
No doubt, yeah. I mean, that's my job in the huddle, just exude confidence. And I want to do that for those guys, and I got to make more plays out there for sure. But yeah, I mean, that's my job. I think that's part of the quarterback position.
Does the touchdown pass to Florida show growth from the fade last week that I know it's different sides and different hashes and things, but does that show growth in your mind, but based on the throw last week to Cropper?
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to get that one again today. Same thing, different situation, and like I said, Ryan killed him, so Ryan made it super easy.
Ryan Flournoy is who they're talking about.
Throw of the day?
Man, touchdown throws are always good, but I had one big one to Racy. two of them in that fourth quarter drive. And then Nate on 3rd and 17 made a big play on the check down. That was big for us. I think that was the best play of the drive.
On the scramble, did you know to get down because time was going out, or was that?
Yeah. I was checking the clock. Yeah, and I knew we had one timeout. So they said I got down just in the nick of time. So I'm glad I got down when I did.
Trey, between the two games, this week at practice, what's the biggest thing that you can think of after this game now that you took from practices, not necessarily from last game, but just that you implemented?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything specific. Just try to take everything, one step at a time. Definitely felt, like I said, more comfortable. I think that was a big part of it. Just going to try to build on it again next week.
How good does it feel to have a performance like that?
Yeah, it feels good to win. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
I love competing with these guys, and I think we got to see a little bit more of it with the chippiness and things like that. I mean, I love it. I'm all about it. Guys competing out there, competing their butts off every single snap, from the O-line to the receivers, regardless of the situation. I think we had a good offense, defense, and special teams day. And obviously the pick six is huge for us as well.
Any personal satisfaction though, to show people what you can do?
I feel good. I'm glad we got the win. I think that's the most important thing to me. But watch the tape and learn from it and do the same exact thing next week.
You've answered this in part, but what goes into being more comfortable from 1 week to the next?
I think honestly, it had been a while since I played, close to a full game going into last week. So just slowing it down, taking everything one step at a time, seeing what I need to see and nothing more, and then just being able to exude confidence in the huddle.
Were you happy with your game tonight?
I'm excited to watch the tape. I think that'll tell a lot more. It wasn't perfect for sure, left a ton out there, but getting the win, like I said, is definitely makes you feel better being on the side of it.
All righty.
Thanks, Trey.
Thank you, guys.
Listen, what that shows you, people, what that shows you is a very, very young player, people. He's young. Trey Lance is very, very young. I don't see this team giving up a 4th-round draft pick for him only to either trade him or I don't believe it. I think the plan for this team is to keep him. Okay, I think his time is running out this season to show what he can do. The only way he's going to play going forward this season is if Dak suffers a major injury and he's out long term. I think they'll play Cooper Rush, but then I do think in the back of their mind, regardless if Dak gets another 4-year deal, he's only 23 years old, Trey Lance. Is to keep him around. Right now, Dallas is fighting for an escape hatch in Dak Prescott's contract. So if it all goes to crap in 2 years, they could get out of it. Now, I don't see an issue with Dak because from Dak's perspective, that escape hatch has to monetarily be accounted for. So again, for Dak, he could get to the table yet again if Dallas decided to move on after 2 years. Not to mention, Dak's going to want a no-trade clause. I would fight against it. My compromise would be a list of 8 to 10 teams that you would want to be traded to. At the end of the day, if a player says he's not going to report or doesn't want to report to a said team, they're not going to give up a lot of assets to get him. So again, there's a lot of things you could do on that front. So, everybody needs to be patient with Trey Lance because he's very, very young. And, he was thrown a lot with San Fran. I think, hear me out, people. Jordan Love got to wait years. He got to sit, almost 3 years before he got his opportunity. So he needs to continue to get a grasp of this offense. And I think ultimately, I believe that Mike McCarthy will be here long term. I don't know about the quarterback, Dak, but I know Mike McCarthy will be here long term. And that's my opinion. But we mentioned Brandon Aubrey. Brandon Aubrey came from nowhere. He had hardly played any actual football. He is a soccer player. He had just a couple years in the UFL, a year in the UFL, where prior to that, he was a soccer player full time. And he said, let me start kicking some footballs. He is new to the game. It looks like Dallas definitely caught
I was pretty sure. I had to watch
a diamond
it for a
in the
couple
rough with Brandon Aubrey. Let's take a listen.
I was pretty sure. I had to watch it for a couple seconds just to see if it was going to hook with, the power fade, but hit it nice and pure, and it went straight. So after about like a second or two, I knew it was in.
What is the feeling when you hit it that pure? I mean, how can you tell?
You can feel it off your foot. It feels like nothing's there. You have like no resistance. It pops off your foot. It stays on your foot for like half a second, and then it flies. And you know as soon as you hit it that you hit it well.
Is this the best week ever? And I don't mean to kick.
Absolutely, yeah. Obviously, baby Colton coming in, changing our lives. Me and Jen are over the moon, and then just to come out here and be able to perform, went away from him, means a lot for me.
I know every kick is different, but is there anything you learned from missing a 65-yarder last week and then making a 66?
Yeah, absolutely. With the 65 last week, kind of changed my steps a little bit, added a little bit of like maybe a half a yard back, give myself more room to come with a little more to the ball. And, I just didn't make clean contact. So, like, bringing less to the table, less speed, less momentum, but hitting the ball smooth and having your timing be exactly what you want it to be gives you more power than, coming with more momentum and missing those two things.
Brandon Mike was in there answering a question about how he joked about wanting to get you a 72-yarder. And he said that one would have cleared. What is the longest you've ever made?
In a practice situation, I don't really kick very far, but I out messing around on my own around 70.
Wow.
What does it mean to know that you can be such a weapon for this team, kind of a unique weapon in this way?
Yeah, I mean, you want to go out there and perform and give your team a better chance of winning. So knowing that I can do that, it means a lot for me, and hopefully it means a lot for the guys in the locker room as well.
I know it's preseason. Did you take the ball?
We'll get it. They got the equipment staff has it for me somewhere.
So much of being a kicker in the NFL is cerebral. Talk about the importance of maintaining a steady flow. Don't never getting up or too down.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's important for a kick like that. At the end of half, you have the rest of the game to play, so can't really take the time to enjoy it then. Right now, I'm going to sit down and process it. My parents are here, so go hang out with them and then kind of celebrate it on the way home and then move on to the next game.
That's cool.
Local beat writer here in Vegas who is fascinated by special teams. He says just as important as the kicker's leg is the snapper. How important is it for that
Trent
snapper?
Sieg, baby.
Absolutely, and I'd say all other 10 guys on the field are doing an important job because I can't kick the ball if it's not in the right spot, and that's the snap and hold, and they get it down there with enough time for me to get a good look at where it's at and adjust my position if I need to, but most of the time it's exactly where the ball needs to be and the laces are pointing where they need to be, so I don't have to make any adjustments. And then obviously the guys protecting me are doing a fantastic job giving me the time I need to get the ball off.
All right, that's enough from Brandon Aubrey. But my thing to you is if he has another year this year like he did last year, we're going to have to give him some money, people. You know that, right? We're going to have to give this boy some money. We cannot lowball him. I mean, we're going to have, you see the kickers are actually making a little something. You see that, right? So you're going to have to give this guy some money. But we're not there yet. He needs to do it for a second year. But yeah, Brandon Aubrey is a weapon, people. It'll be interesting to see once the regular season starts what they dial up as far as kickoffs, because I don't think anybody's showing what they're really going to do. I thought you saw a little bit of it this week with Dallas. He kicked a lot of low liners short of the end zone, and Dallas, I know the Dallas is one. There was a couple inside the 30 that they got. You figure right now the starting, I think they're going to move it a little. Just word I'm hearing is right now if the ball goes through the end zone, the ball goes out to the 30-yard line. They're trying to eliminate the touchback. I think right now there's 3 different yardages. 40 if the ball's kicked out of bounds. 35, I'm actually confused. That's why I think they need to to ruin it. And then 30 for touchbacks. I think they're going to get rid of the touchbacks and move it to the 35. So if you're going to kick it out of the end zone, great, but you're giving them the ball at the 35-yard line. Out of bounds is still 40 or shy of the landing zone. So stay tuned for a rule change right before the season. I have a feeling they're going to get rid of the 30-yard and make it 35 to force these kickers to not just kick it through the end zone. Because Brandon Aubrey, you saw, he could have made it from 70. And there's a couple other kickers, I would say possibly. I say the Kansas City kicker is really good. He has an unbelievable leg. There's a few teams out there with like a big leg. So, but there's one more player I want to address. This goes out to you, Mark Hutchinson, new Mailheads Crew channel member. Like I said, I told everybody I'm going to try and tweak it so it says Mailheads Crew. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. But yes. Mark Hutchinson, this is for you, my guy. Start showing some love to Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn is going to have a place on this team.
First game of the.
I'm excited for Deuce Vaughn. Let's listen for a little bit of the Deuce is Loose. All right.
First game of the preseason, you missed the preseason opener because of the hamstring injury. You go out there, have the game that you have. How do you feel, and what's your biggest takeaway from that game?
For myself, I feel like missing last week just because of the hamstring. I wanted to come out here and show what I could do. Can't take all the credit. I mean, our O-line did a great job up front. Trey did a good job of keeping us controlled. He did a great job in the huddle. And then just going out there and just showcasing what I can do is the biggest thing for myself.
And showcasing what you can do, you showed it with your quickness, your shiftiness, which is what you're known for coming out of Kansas State. But you also showed it with some power on a couple of those runs. What is that for your part? What does that tell people when it comes to Deuce Vaughn, what to look for?
Yeah, just kind of a testament to all the work I've put in over this offseason. It's one of the things I wanted to do was get a little bit bigger, get a little bit stronger in between the tackles, because in this league, that's where the hay is made. Those 4-yard runs, those 5-yard runs that are a little bit powerful. You'll be able to put your offense in a better situation on second and third down. It was one of the things I wanted to work on going into the offseason. So to be able to come out here and put this down as a foundation is huge.
Has it been difficult to be patient while you're working your way back?
Absolutely. It was my first time having a hamstring or something like that. So being sidelined for those 2 weeks were the hardest thing. Watching joint practices, watching my guys
especially when
go
you're
out there
hearing
and
that.
practice and not being out there hurt a lot. But
Especially when you're hearing like guys like Mark Hudson wants his head on a spit. You know what I mean? Because they think he's too small. I would just say, just look at the way he runs, Mark. Hard to tackle. He's so low to the ground. His balance is incredible. So again, we need Deuce Vaughn to be a part of this offense. A part, not the full. He's not a bell cow. You give me 10 or 12 touches a game by Deuce Vaughn, and I'm going to love it, especially in the passing game. But you saw going through the tackles, he doesn't need much room. And with this interior offensive line, that's where our hay is going to be made. We may struggle on running to the outside. I think our success is going to be running through the tackles. Through the interior of the line. We do a lot of jet sweeps type stuff, so fine. I mean, I get that, but I think our hay is going to be made with the guards, right? Mickey Spags, he's a guard. I can't say it this morning. I feel like a Kentucky Fried Idiot. Spider Rico. But anyway, let's listen to the rest of the interview. Deuce Vaughn is a big piece of this puzzle, and it's a puzzle. We're putting it together, okay? And in order for us to be successful with the running backs that we have, Deuce needs to be a part of it.
It was motivation to get myself back into the shape that I needed to, get this hamstring right, be patient, like you said, because at some point I have an opportunity to come and play football again, and I'm excited I got to tonight.
How did it feel to officially be reunited on the field with Cooper Beard?
It was huge, man. We got in the huddle, and he called out the down and distance. I just looked up, and I saw him standing right there, and I was like, man, it's been a minute, man. And so it was real cool to be out there with him. He's a fantastic O-line, great person as well. So whenever he got drafted here, and now to be playing with him in the preseason once again, it's really cool.
How
Can you speak
important
to
is
the
it?
other linemen? Because it's like a patchwork thing with some of the injuries there and guys kind of playing out of position.
Yeah, a lot of guys stepping up. A lot of guys, Austin Richards going into that kind of that guard spot and also playing tackle as well. We got our new guys, Tyler coming in, Josh Ball, Wally playing as well, and those guys are doing a great job for us up front. And I feel like those guys meshing and be able to play all types of different spots is helping a whole bunch.
It's competitive in that running back room. How important is it for you to have a performance like this to continue to establish a role on this team?
I feel like for myself, it's more important to just go out there and showcase what I can do. We have a great running back room. Every single one of those guys inside this room has a great skill set. I've learned a whole bunch from guys inside this locker room, the experience that we have. And for myself, coming out here is more like the foundation for myself to kind of get back to that boy Dak Prescott, man.
It's a pretty cool nickname, isn't it? Yeah.
I like it. You know, my mom gave it to me whenever I was born, so she gets all the credit. But it was real big for the foundation of just getting back playing and getting ready for next week.
Appreciate it. We're going to look to build upon going into the preseason for that.
Yeah, like kind of like you were saying, that power, and then also hoping to have some opportunity to show off some pass protection and stuff like that going into this next week. Just showing up all the question marks that kind of were given to me coming into this offseason. The hard work that I put in to be able to showcase what I can do is kind of what I want to shore up on going into this last week.
Thanks.
Appreciate you.
Well, listen, that's all you could ask for. He's listening, right? He's listening to the question marks, too small. Again, we've seen players, Darren Sproles, he's basically Darren Sproles. As Darren Sproles put on weight. Darren Sproles wasn't what he was year one. He has showed flashes, but our offensive line, especially interior offensive line, everybody just take a minute. We had Terrence Steele just coming off an ACL, who is miles from what he was last year at right tackle. You could see it. He's healthy. He's fully healthy. He's doing well at the right tackle spot. Zach Martin, Hall of Famer. Brock Hoffman or Cooper Beebe at center. Yes, Drew, they're better than Tyler Biadasz. Again, you're not close to the situation. Brock Hoffman played multiple games at center for Biadasz last year. He's got experience. They're better at the center position. Then you got the left guard. We got the left guard. Okay, Tyler Smith, Pro Bowler. And then left tackle, Tyler Guyton. Okay, now all accounts, he's doing well. Do I think he's going to dominate Myles Garrett? No, I do not. Or some of the other. He's going to have his growing pains, but we're not asking him to be a golden age Tyron Smith, because Tyron Smith hasn't been that player in quite some time. He was decent last year, but give me a better than average player, and we'll be fine. But our interior, we are so deep on the offensive line. And other teams don't like hearing that, especially Eagle fans. You guys don't like hearing that because I always give you credit about how good your offensive line is. I'm not saying our offensive line is as good as the Eagles. Let me make that clear. But we don't have to be. I mean, I think who knows how it's going to go with the Eagles, though. Now you're seeing Mekhi Becton's banged up. Tyler Steen's banged up. Tyler Steen has a penalty machine right now. I think he's got a good upside. Listen, I like the Eagles' offensive line, but you did lose a big piece, that now people are starting to crap on. And Jason Kelce is saying, he had lost a step. Okay. We're not going there today. I want to wrap this up, keep this video short. Just wanted to give you a little bit of Trey Lance is young, people. I think he'll be 24 during the season, or if he just turned 24. But he's young. I don't think he's going anywhere, and I think they're putting the investment in. I don't see why you would trade him now. Just remember, we have all these draft picks next year. We got 4 comp picks plus I think we're getting 4 5s plus our draft picks. That's pretty. That's a lot of draft picks. I don't think a 4th is going to make a difference. We could have used the 4 last year, but this year, I don't think he's going anywhere, people. I think we're going to sign him. I think he's going to be the backup. The interesting question is Lance going to be the backup this year? We could sit here and argue and say we think that Cooper Rush is better, which right now he is. But Trey Lance is making more money than Cooper Rush, almost double. Okay, Trey Lance is making over $5 million a year. Cooper Rush, I believe, is making $3 million. Follow the money, people. Sometimes decisions and players, I don't think Cooper Rush is going anywhere. I think they would be smart to keep Cooper as a backup, but please leave me your thoughts. And I will do a lunchtime chat later today, so stay tuned. We will do a live stream from my mama's basement, which I don't have a basement, so that's funny. It's funny to me. But you get the point. I will talk to everybody later. Just remember, people, we're them boys, and we are going to be back on the winning track this year. The schedule's tough early on. If we can weather the storm, we going to be all right. How about them Cowboys? Talk this.